unpleasant surprise. Yeah.
shocking thing to find out. I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
No. All right. Well, we're getting on 5 minutes in. I'm gonna welcome everybody. Definitely say hi in the chat. Ask. We have a bunch of like really smart people here, so if questions come up, definitely feel free to ask. I want to welcome everyone to our fourth installment of Metadata Mondays in Metadata March, because we love an alliteration here at Sona, being the lyricists that we are. And I'm here in my backyard, proudly rocking my SMAG swag. I'm gonna put this on. See, got these available if you want them. And this month of events has been brought to you by SMAG, which is the committee in Sona that we created the Sexy Metadata Action Group that we created because metadata is key to songwriters getting paid in this digital economy. And what's sexier than getting paid, right? So that's why we called it the Sexy Metadata Action Group. And on the screen, you see your Sexy Metadata Action Group bingo card, where we kind of give you what we're treating this whole series of events like is like a scavenger hunt, or if you want to be drinking during this process, we can call it a pub crawl, where we start at a place and we kind of guide you, holding your hand the whole way through from the beginning steps of metadata as it gets more complicated. So maybe you need a drink to get through it. But if you see on the list, we started with with our PROs. We learned what IPIs are, and even our publisher IPIs are. We learned what ISWCs are, our work codes. And then we headed over to Sound Exchange, where we learned about ISRCs. Those are the codes associated with the sound recording. And we talked a lot about your splits, how to how when you write a song, figuring out your splits. I don't think we talked about spreadsheets, but we can talk about that a bit. And now here we are at sign up for the MLC or join the MLC. And we are here with my friend Dave Bogan, who I've known for a while. I met Day when you were at Sound Royalty, I think. Sound Tune Registry,
In registry,
right?
yes. Hmm.
Yes, which you founded, and you've always been on the forefront of getting independent writers paid for their publishing and getting them
Absolutely.
right. Kind of that's your thing.
Yeah.
So so now you are in such a great place at the MLC to
Hmm.
do that even more so in your role as the head of third-party partnerships. And you are also a lecturer at the UCLA Herb Alpert School of Music, which is amazing. And then last year you were listed in Billboard's list of digital power players, which of course
Which is
I know about you. You are a power player. 2020 and 2021 as well. And so you're in Miami, and um, I'm just gonna head it like hand it over to you I was hoping you'd be on the beach because, sexy metadata, but
yeah.
you're doing the professional thing by being, in a hotel room. And I'm gonna hand it over to you to take it away. Sarah, you could take the bingo card down and let Day carry it from here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction. It has definitely been quite the journey, as you know, going from managing songwriters to building software to help independent songwriters self-administer and be their own advocates, to now working at the MLC in a role that also helps MLC partners with other organizations and technologies to help and empower songwriters. So it's definitely been all about helping independent music creators over the last 10 or 12 years that I'm on the business side of the industry. In my role at the MLC, I'm the head of third-party partnerships. I develop and oversee the execution of a number of types of partnerships, such as our data quality initiative partnerships, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about, where we've already established relationships with software companies that help independent songwriters and publishers of all levels to engage with MLC for checking their data, which I think is a very important step because it's something that most organizations haven't rolled out at scale, and we've done it from day one, which I think which is amazing. And it's a part of the commitment to try to clean up and match the unmatched, historical unmatched, and also to have a process in place so that creators and publishers and rights holders you'll have this conversation with the organization in this machine method of checking data. And I know it sounds very technical, but it's something that is super important, especially to start to build a catalog of size. Right. So what I'm gonna do first is,
can I just say that if you have a question, if you we lose you on any of the acronyms, ISWC, ISRC, IPI, anything like that, and we're kind of wailing through them because we assume that you know what they are. But if you have any questions, put them in the chat. There's plenty of people there who can answer it. So
yeah,
don't hesitate.
The mumble jumble. Definitely question the mumble jumble. Okay, so I'm going to start with sort of a basic presentation of MLC, about 13 or 14 slides. And then I'll dive a bit deep into specific topics related to this particular conversation. So I'm going to share my screen and present a presentation. All right, the MLC, the Mechanical Licensing Collective. So for those who may not be familiar, I'm assuming most of you are, with the MLC's origin and our mission. The MLC was created pursuant to the Music Modernization Act of 2018. The MLC offers a new blanket license for digital music providers, or also called digital service providers, depending on who's talking, to cover mechanical licensing of US-based interactive streaming and downloads. It is unclear whether download services will take advantage of the MLC's blanket license because historically downloads have passed mechanical royalties through to record labels and distributors to be paid out to publishers. So that's something that is still sort of under development. This little diagram on the right here shows sort of the process. You have digital music providers such as Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon Music will submit usage data and royalties to the MLC. We then match the musical works in our database to the sound recording information in the usage data to create matches so that we can calculate and pay out royalties to self-administered songwriters, to ex-US CMOs, and to music publishers. So this is the basic function of the MLC. So again, US digital audio services will pass royalties to the MLC. Oh, sorry, we match those and pay you, the songwriter. The MLC is the exclusive administrator of the new blanket license that was formed by the MMA, and the MLC is the only organization that can collect and distribute the royalties paid pursuant to this new blanket license to rights holders. This is important to know because I've already heard songwriters ask questions in regards to, should I join the MLC? And the question is, do you want to collect royalties from this particular license? If so, then you must join the MLC. It's not really an option, as if those royalties will flow through another source. So again, the MLC currently is tethered to this particular license, and any royalties that are earned under that license must be paid through the MLC. So a quick overview of what the MLC will and will not do to hopefully demystify some of the uncertainties. The MLC will establish and maintain a public database of musical works ownership information. We will administer the new blanket license covering mechanical rights available to eligible digital audio services operating in the United States. And we will receive and match sound recording usage reporting data from digital audio services with the MLC's musical works ownership data. And we will collect and distribute US digital audio mechanical royalties to music publishers, administrators, foreign mechanical rights organizations, and self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists. What we will not do is administer performance rights or collect performance royalties. We will not administer digital performance rights for sound recordings or collect digital performance royalties. We will not administer mechanical rights or collect mechanical royalties for physical products. We will not administer any licenses or collect any royalties related to the use of musical works in audiovisual products or lyrics. And we will not administer licenses or collect royalties for the use of musical works outside the United States. The MLC will
Say,
not
can we
replace.
stop there?
Sure.
Can we just stop there for a second and say who does
Yes.
those things? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah. So
I'll go back
that's
and
a lot
answer.
of confusion. Right. So a
Sure.
lot of
So
confusion around
yeah,
this.
let me, yes, okay, cool. So I'll go back to the what we will not do list and then tell you who will do those things. So the first one, we will not administer performance rights for musical works or collect performance royalties because performing rights organizations do that. PROs, including ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, GMR. So those are PROs. They collect performance royalties and pay out performance royalties, which is why we don't do that. The second one is in regards to digital performance rights for sound recordings. We're not on the sound recording side. That would be Sound Exchange. Sound Exchange collects and administers digital performance rights for sound recordings. Administer mechanical rights or collect mechanical royalties for physical products such as vinyl, CDs, cassettes. The blanket license is only for digital audio mechanical, so interactive streamings and downloads, not physical products. So record labels that manufacture and distribute and promote physical goods will still handle their own mechanical rights administration, and other parties that might need to get a mechanical license for physical products will do so directly with publishers or through the representatives of publishers such as HFA. Administer any licenses or collect any royalties related to the use of musical works in audiovisual products or lyrics. So audiovisual products includes things such as YouTube or Vimeo, or any kind of sync where there's a visual and edit. So we're not involved in sync, so video products. I do want to clarify because there's always this kind of uncertainty about YouTube versus YouTube music. So the YouTube music does have a mechanical royalty, and that particular product is considered an audio-based mechanical usage type. But YouTube proper, if you will, where you upload a video containing music is considered an audio-visual work, and that's not mechanical. For lyrics,
so we just have,
yeah,
and yeah, so before we go with the lyrics, there's this question that comes up all the time is like, so do I still need to register with HFA, MRI? And those are the organizations that do administer these rights that you're talking about right now?
Right. So that's a great thing you brought up because the next thing there is lyrics. So for example, HFA works with LyricFind, and LyricFind licenses lyrics to a number of parties. So, through that relationship with HFA, you're able to opt into a number of LyricFind opportunities. But, we're not involved in that. I'm just speaking from my knowledge in the industry. So lyrics is, again, a direct relationship between publishers and music users, or third parties like Music Reports and LyricFind. I'm sorry, and HFA. We're not licensing lyrics or audiovisual products. That will be licensed directly with publishers or through various types of clearinghouses. And then the last piece here is administer licenses or collect royalties for the use of musical works outside the United States. The MMA covers, the Music Modernization Act covers the United States only. We're talking about streams, interactive streams in the United States by services operating in the United States. So we're only collecting royalties from the usage in the United States and paying out for that territory. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. It's simply that we're paying out for this territory because we're only operating in this territory. So important thing to note, as a self-administered songwriter who administers your own rights, with MLC, you're able to collect your mechanical royalties in the United States, but you would still need some kind of strategy or partner for collecting mechanical royalties outside the United States, whether that's a
And what are some
sub-publisher.
what are some examples of that?
So some examples of that include, working with a publisher, sub-publisher in different territories who can collect in that territory on your behalf. It may be working with independent publishers who have administration deals that are willing to carve out the United States so that you can still collect your U.S. direct for your PRO and your and the MLC, and then they handle everything ex-US. That's one strategy. that I've recommended that strategy for many, many years. As you know, I've operated Tune Registry, which enables songwriters to self-administer in the United States. And so we've helped a number of songwriters understand that if you're able to get a partnership with a independent publisher and you have a significant enough ex-US business that they're willing to take you on, then that collection could be very helpful.
And worth it to do because the MLC operates at no cost, no administrative
Right. So
cost to the
it's certainly a
songwriter.
business. It's certainly a business choice on behalf of the songwriter as well as the publisher. And I'm going to get to that in the next slide. But we operate at no fee. So maybe a couple slides. So what should you do now? Number one, you should become a member. So if you are a self-administered songwriter, you can become a member at our website, mlc.com, and click on the Connect to Collect button. You should also check your data. You can do that a number of ways. You can log into the portal, the MLC portal, and check your data. And you can also participate in our data quality initiative, which is a process to bulk check your data. So if you have hundreds of songs or even thousands of songs that are released and you want to check that in bulk, you can do that through the data quality initiative, which is a bulk inquiry process. We have a number of partners already that are helping self-administered songwriters and publishers with participating in our data quality initiative. And then the third thing is very important. Confirm your payment information. Make sure that we have your banking information, that your address is up to date if you're getting paper checks, that we have this information correct before we start making royalty payments.
And Dave, that's happening soon, right?
Yeah, next month. Yeah.
Next month
should be our first distribution. So here's sort of a high-level overview of the digital music revenue streams in the United States, broken down into kind of two sections. One is the musical works, your songs, your lyrics, melodies, and then the other is the sound recordings. And you have at the top here 4 types of rights that we're talking about. The first under musical works is your public performance rights, which is responsible for performance royalties. Those royalties are collected by PROs, performing rights organizations such as ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, GMR, and that's paid out in a publisher share and a writer share to self-administered songwriters and publishers, and then the writer share obviously to your songwriters. On the reproduction and distribution right, these rights are associated with your copyright, by the way. It includes the mechanical royalties, and the mechanical royalties are generated through the new blanket license that went into effect January 1st this year, again, as a result of the MMA. And those royalties will be paid out through the MLC, and mechanical shares payable to publishers and self-administered songwriters. In the case of paying publishers will then pay songwriters pursuant to your publishing agreement. Then there are voluntary licenses, which are direct licenses between DSPs and publishers, and DSPs or their third-party administrators, such as Music Reports and Harry Fox. There's a number of other ones. And those royalties are paid direct to publishers and songwriters as well. The one little carve out is in regards to download stores like iTunes that has historically paid the mechanical royalties to the record label or the aggregator. So those royalties kind of flow through the distributor and then to publishers and writers. Moving over to the sound recording side, the reproduction and distribution rights in sound recordings, the royalties for that is basically the wholesale proceeds, your streaming royalties, your download royalties. Those are paid to your distributor and aggregators, which flows through the record labels if you're signed to a label, or to a self-released artist working through a service like DistroKid or CD Baby or TuneCore. Then you have digital performance rights, which is specifically Sound Exchange, and Sound Exchange will pay out those royalties and shares to the record label or the copyright owner in the sound recording, which could also be an independent artist that owns their own masters, and then a share to the featured artist. And then there's a piece that goes to the non-featured artists, which includes session musicians and background vocalists, and that's paid through the SAG-AFTRA Intellectual Property Rights Distribution Fund. So,
So I just want to say these are all, these are all rights that you can use. So if you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them.
right.
So I just want to say these are all rights that you can use. So if you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use them. If you want to use them, you can use streams that songwriters are privy to that we need to the MLC does not pay you for all these things, right? I just want to double down
Correct.
on what you're saying,
Yeah, we're right
right?
here.
Like,
So imagine
yeah,
here's the use case. Let's say I'm a singer-songwriter who is not signed to a label and does not have a publishing deal. So that means I'm the songwriter, I'm the featured performer, the artist. I'm also my own publisher and my own label, right? And I might be using a service like a DistroKid or Symphonic Distribution or something to distribute my music. Well, here, these are all the buckets where I need to collect royalties from a single release, right? So if I just release one single um, and it gets wide distribution, right, on digital services, because we're talking about digital music here are all the places that may be potentially generating royalties for that one release, which means all of these places must know that the song and the recording exists, and that requires registrations, right, across all of these organizations.
it
And where you
seems
do
like a
not,
lot, but it
oh
actually is
yeah,
doable. Like, yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, as you know, you know, I dealt with this managing songwriters and artists, and which is why I got frustrated and built the tool to do all this in one place. But yeah, it's very important though, right? I always tell clients to um, take a I don't know, take a weekend or a week, whether it's a weekend or one day a month to kind of do maintenance of your catalog, or 1 week a quarter, whatever works for your availability. Is you need to do this maintenance on a regular basis. If you're putting out music on a regular basis. If you're not putting out music on a regular basis, then you can do this less frequently. But the key note is most organizations do not share their data with other organizations. ASCAP and
Exactly.
BMI recently announced their partnership where they do now have a joint sort of database where they are
Song
both
view, yeah.
representing works. But for the most part, the US music licensing landscape is very fragmented. And then obviously it's even more complicated when we talk about globally. Even though there are global organizations that work with CMOs, there's still the chance of something that may not be accurate from one organization to the next because of the various parties that may be involved and just human error and so forth. So it's important that you want to, which is why I think the data quality initiative is so important, because we're able to allow you to check your data in bulk to make sure that what you have as accurate is what we have as accurate at MLC. So this is sort of the landscape here of the U.S. digital music space, and obviously this diagram look a little bit different. We're talking about a different territory. All right, moving on. Okay, so who needs to become a member? Well, all music publishers, administrators, and CMOs who have the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the United States, and only self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists who have retained the right to collect digital audio mechanical royalties from licensees in the United States for at least one musical work. And that last little, like 4 words, is very important because there are some songwriters who have publishing deals. And those publishing deals cover most of their catalog, but there may be songs outside of that deal that maybe there's collaborations or another
That's
persona,
me.
that you have
Yep.
outside of your primary publishing deal. In that case, for those works, you are considered a self-administered songwriter and therefore eligible to join the MLC.
Right. So
Unless
it's like a hybrid.
it's like a hybrid, yeah. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm signed to this publisher, and for this particular, these songs in my catalog, the publisher is representing those songs at the MLC. And then for everything else that is not included in that deal, I am a member of the, MLC for those songs that I'm self-administered. So it's important to know that. I mean, unless you have a deal where a publisher owns copyright and most of your works, and then maybe just doing administration on the works that they don't own the copyright. That kind of hybrid deal exists as well. But whatever makes sense for your particular scenario, if you have at least one work that you are self-administering, then you may be eligible to join the MLC. And you want to clarify that with your publisher. The MLC will pay anyone entitled to collect mechanical royalties for a given musical work. That note's also important. It's not just traditional music creators and rights holders, publishers. You may, for example, assign a collection share in your mechanical to someone for some other reason, and therefore they're entitled to the income participation. So they can also join the MLC for collecting that particular income participation, even though they're not considered a writer or a publisher. So it's really about anyone entitled to collect mechanical royalties. Estates and trusts and things like that, also for beneficiaries of other writers, all that can also join the MLC. Unlike the system for performance royalties, mechanical royalties are not separated into writer shares and publisher shares. This goes back to a little conversation we had, Michelle, in regards to the difference between ownership shares and collection shares. So most songwriters who've registered a work with like their PRO, you're used to registering your work based on the ownership shares and the writer's share. And then you have the publisher's side, which reflects the writer's share. That's ownership in the work. That may exist, and that may still be the same when it comes to that exists for the work itself, but the collection percentage has to do with how much royalties are being collected on a mechanical. So let's say, for example, Michelle, you and I co-write a song as a writing team, and you own 50% of the song, and I own 50% of the song, and I'm with ASCAP and you're with BMI. And you register your 50% through BMI, I register my 50% through ASCAP, and we both have, let's say we both share the same publishing entity, but we have our different, we simply are with different PROs for our writers share. So we have our same publishing entity, and that publishing entity is registered with your 50% share at BMI, and that publishing entity is registered with my 50% share at ASCAP. And then I have my own writer share at ASCAP, and you have your own writer share at BMI. When it comes to the MLC,
this is a little bit like, just so you know, there's a little bit like, I'm what's the word? Blasphemy that I'd be with BMI, but it's okay.
So with the MLC, however, since we both share the same publishing entity, 100% of the collection would be for that publishing entity. So it would not be 50% Michelle, 50% Day. The collection entity is the administrator, which is the publisher. So what we will register with MLC is the publishing entity 100% collection, as opposed to with the PRO, the publishing entity 50% ownership for one PRO and 50% ownership for another PRO. So the collection share sits at the administrator level, who's administering the work. A publisher could be the administrator, or a publishing administrator could be the administrator, or a songwriter can be self-administered, which is why we call it self-administered songwriter. But whoever
that's a really important distinction, by the way.
Right, it's very important distinction. So there's a difference between a self-published songwriter and a self-administered songwriter. A self-published songwriter is a songwriter who owns their publishing. A self-administered songwriter is a songwriter who owns their publishing and administers that publishing. So I could be self-published, and I can hire Songtrust or Centric or any of the many independent publishers under AIMP to be my administrator. So I am not a self-administered songwriter. I'm simply self-published. But if I do not hire an administrator, then I'm self-administered. So that's the key difference, is who has the right to administer the mechanical right, and that entity that has the right to administer will be the member of the MLC.
Exactly. So when you go to join the MLC or you sign up, and sometimes people have been telling me today that they get these rejection emails. Mm-hmm. They were rejected from the MLC, and I'm like, wah, wah, wah. What does that mean? And I've said that means another administrator or publisher is claiming your publishing and is doing it for you, and you should contact customer service and see who that is. And, if you're not,
Mhm.
if that's a surprise to you, then that's something you might want to like look
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, and I mean, it happens sometimes with independent artists, singer-songwriters who join. I'm sorry, who sign up for various distributors, aggregators. Some of those aggregators have publishing administration services, and you may knowingly or unknowingly opt in to that publishing administration service, or you forget. So, for example,
Yeah, that
if
happened
you
with a friend of mine.
yeah, if you use CD Baby to distribute, CD Baby distributes to all the DSPs. If you use CD Baby Pro to distribute, they distribute to all the DSPs. Plus, they administer the rights on those on the sound record. I mean, on the musical works associated with that distribution. So if you just by chance forget that that particular distribution type included publishing administration, then that's likely to happen, and it has happened. So just be clear on where your works sit, who has administration rights, and your eligibility.
Exactly. And there is a great customer service team
Yes.
at the MLC to sort of walk you through this stuff. If you get any surprise emails or things like that, you can always ask.
hmm So how do you become a member? Well, first of all, you can go to our website, mlc.com, and click on the blue Connect to Collect button, and that gets you started. DSPs pay 100% of the MLC's operating costs. So this allows the MLC to distribute 100% of the royalties we receive without deducting any administration fees. And that's a key, kind of fact in terms of making a decision on whether or not you want to stay self-administered in the United States. Um, you have to look at your own catalog and know, what's going on with your income. If most of your income is generated in the United States, then you have to decide, do I want to give up a percentage of my mechanical royalties in the United States by allowing an administrator to collect on my behalf? There are benefits, of course, to working with a third party that can register your works and collect your royalties. But the question is, do those benefits outweigh the chunk that is being taken out from commissions from administrators? So that's individual choice. You can, if you have a way to carve out the United States and work with the administrator for the rest of the world, then that's also a strategy, and that I personally have been promoting for many years before the MFC existed. The Data Quality Initiative, again, to highlight this particular initiative, is a process that allows you to check your existing catalog in bulk. We do have a number of existing partners, software companies that help self-administer songwriters and small publishers with participating in our data quality initiative. So if you go to our website, mlc.com/resources, you'll click on the data quality initiative and you'll see a list that they include Exactuals, Tune Registry, Blocker, Music Data Services, and Vistex. So those are just some of the companies. We have more companies rolling out in the partnership as well. This is very important because changes can happen to your information, and you want to make sure that your data is updated everywhere, and being able to check one society all of your data can also help you learn if it may be incorrect or missing in other societies simply by knowing about one. The portal. So the MLC portal was built from scratch pursuant to the MMA, and it has been rolling out in various versions over the last several months. So you can log into the portal and check your catalog. You can register new works. You can update your banking information, your tax information, and do all that from mobile or desktop in the MLC portal.
Kind of funny that the song used it as an example is called Growing Pains.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
So when will we start paying royalties? So everyone's asked this question, okay, like when do I get royalties? Well, we're actually starting next month. So the MLC royalty distribution begins next month. And from there onward, it will be monthly payments. and the payment cycle is 75 days after the close of the period. So the period is a monthly period. So for example, January 2020 will be paid out mid to late April. And then February will be paid out mid to late May. And then March will be paid out mid to late June. So you have April, May, June are the monthly payments, and they represent the 1 month periods, 75 days prior. So we
Is
have
there a deadline on how long you have to sign up before you get paid for the next distribution?
No, the distributions are again on it's not like you miss a distribution. You just be caught up once you register. So let's say, for example, you have songs right now on interactive services as of January 1st this year, and each month, January, February, we're now in March. Those recordings have streamed and therefore have earned mechanical royalties. Well, those will begin to be paid out in April, as long as we're able to match the usage data from the DSPs to the musical works in our database, which means you have to register the musical works. If you have not registered the musical works, then those royalties begin to accrue in the black box, right? So sort of the unmatched.
Cool. Okay. Right.
So, but once you register, then you kind of unlock those royalties. You mentioned support a few times. We do have a great support team. We have support accessible via phone, email, and chat. They're open 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time, and then 9 hours on Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So definitely take advantage of our support team. They have helped a number of songwriters join the MLC, look at their data, check data, clean data. So it's you definitely want to take advantage of that. And if you have any more questions in regards to exploring the MLC, go to our website, mlc.com. And obviously, I'm going to stick around for our Q&A.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, so we have had a bunch of questions in the chat that Abby logged in as Kevin Cassini has been answering, just to keep it kind of interesting. I think Kevin is here too. And I'm going to kind of go back and let's see. There is a question. Let's see. There was one that I know I wanted to answer because it was if my co-writer gave their publishings for Melissa Axel. My co-writer gave their publishing to a new music library's publishing name. That company collects these funds for the co-writer's share of the song we co-wrote together.
I'm sorry.
I think you would hold on to your own.
Can you ask that again?
If my co-writer gave their publishing to a new music, so you co-wrote a song that was given to a music library. That music library is going to collect for both of you or just for your co-writer?
Just for the co-writer.
Right. Yeah. Yes. But Abby's saying that the co-writer has the publisher. That publisher has the right to collect.
So the administrator of a particular share has the right to collect that share. So if again, I just give the example between you and I, if we co-write a song and I give my publishing to a administrator and you retain your publishing, then you can join the MLC for your share and my administrator will join the MLC for my share.
Right. And if that if your co-writer's publisher is claiming your share and collecting it, that's probably something you want to clarify, right? Like that's
unless you
without
have,
your permission.
Correct. If it's not your permission, then they can't do that, right? So if you don't have actual agreement with that administrator in place, then they don't represent your share, legally speaking. So
right.
That's
right. Sarah, are you keeping tabs on questions? Do you have any that you think?
Yeah. Did you already get the one with Lori Geltman asked how far does it go for the first payout? Did you answer that one?
No. How far back does the first payout go?
Well, there's two different types of royalties, or two different kind of categories of royalties that the MLC is paying. There's the historical unmatched royalties, and you can, and we have, that was announced, the $424 million in historical unmatched royalties. That information is on the website that will show you. Actually, let me share my screen. We have the benefit of doing that. Okay, so if you go to our website and go to how it works, you can click on historical unmatched royalties. And we talk about, what happens next, what is it about, what should I do, all the details. And you can also see every DSP that has transferred over the historical unmatched royalties to us, right? So this totals up to over $424 million. And when we received it, you can dive a little bit deeper. You can click on a particular DSP, and then you can see what has been reported and what's been transferred on each period. You can then get a month-to-month breakdown as well. So you can go back and see how far back it goes for any particular DSP. So that's the historical unmatched.
Right, that's good. That's pretty granular there too. Like,
yeah, I know off the top of my head that, for example, Slacker goes back to 2007. So that's just like,
wow.
But every DSP has a different thing. So it's going to go back.
And then someone
operated.
And Michelle Vick asked if all DSPs are part of the MLC.
So you can check on DSPs by clicking on DSP notices. So the DSPs that are that have submitted a notice to the MLC that it is operating under the blanket license are all listed here. So you can actually see the notice itself. For example, so here's the notice. So every DSP that intends to operate under the blanket compulsory license is required by law to submit a notice to the MLC. So you can see all those, as well as those who are choosing not to operate under the blanket license. So you can see
that's good.
Who are doing direct licenses. So you can see Bandcamp, for example. So if you use Bandcamp to upload your music and make it available direct to consumer, that means the mechanical royalties associated with that is not going to flow through the MLC because this is non-blanket activity.
Right. Okay, that's good to know. That's really, and so this is all on the MLC website, everyone, just so you know.
Right, and this is
Jay
a part
is
of,
showing you is this is all part of the website, and you can like kind of it does get pretty granular, so you can kind of keep clicking through.
I mentioned earlier the data quality initiative. Again, here are the companies that you can, for example, if you go to Exactuals, you can see that, Exactuals help you participate in the data quality initiative, and how to get started with their process, for example. So every company has a different kind of implementation of our data quality initiative, but you can click through and see that.
I
definitely
see
spend some time
question
on
from,
here.
yeah, definitely spend some time on there. It's just, and new information is sort of being put up on the site all the time, by the way. Like, I feel like,
I mean, remember, like, this is the first time in sort of U.S. history where we are watching a music rights organization form in real time. So to expect comprehensive information from day one as an organization is rolling out is not really realistic. But we're posting information regularly. We have news and resources regularly posted because we're required to by law, right? Transparency is a part of our principles. So there's a lot of stuff being announced, new things that are happening all the time at the MLC. And you can click and see certain milestones and so forth.
And actually, in that category, I see a question from Jeff Brayback about being able to listen to sound, like clips of sound recordings, to be able to match your works. That I know that hasn't been implemented yet, but I know it's being like sort of advocated for at the Copyright Office level. So this talking about like the work in progress of this, that's where sort of SONA and NSAI and MAC and the other songwriter organizations kind of come in to advocate for these changes that will make it that'll make it easier for songwriters. Is the
Yeah, and also that's a great point, and I remind people every day that the MLC does not operate in a vacuum. The MLC is a nonprofit organization that basically doesn't really generate any revenue either, because we're paying out royalties that are owed by DSPs to rights holders, so that flows through us 100%. And we don't have we have songwriters and we have publishers who are on our board, who are on our committees, who are advising our leadership and helping to set policy and operational sort of requirements. And in addition to the board and committees, the Copyright Office themselves, allow for public opinions, public comments on their various sort of, policy setting or decision making. So there's a lot of.
It is an ongoing, fluid kind of process, and it is a collaboration for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of input. It's not like it's just 7 people at the leadership making decisions on behalf of the world's music.
Right, exactly. And there's actually like a bunch of roundtables this week, kind of.
Yeah, I'll be on one.
Yeah, I know. A bunch of us are going to be on those. So that's sort of an answer. Someone specifically wants to know specifically about iTunes downloads. You said that we don't have clarity on downloads yet, right? Is that the?
So every DSP, each store has to submit a notice that they are going to operate under the blanket license. So it's still unclear that most download stores, and primarily is going to operate under that. Right now, the mechanism for paying mechanical royalties has traditionally been those royalties were included in payments made to record labels and distributors, and it's unclear that download stores, iTunes being the biggest, but there's other download stores as well, like Beatport, for example, whether they're going to operate, change their licensing model to operate under the blanket license.
That feels like a very sort of philosophical copyright nerd kind of thing. Like, is a download? I mean, it's sort of that thing, that sort of area between a download and an interactive stream, right? Like,
well, I mean, you can't. There is an interactive stream happening in the the preview, right? That you pay like 30-second clip,
right?
But the actual transfer of the phonorecord happens with the download. And that's where the mechanical activity occurs. Right. So it really just goes back to the deals, because at the end of the day, the mechanical blanket license is an optional deal license. It's not. No service is required to operate under the MLC, and it's not the MLC's license. I want to clarify that. I don't want to say it's the MLC's license. It's it's the Section 115. Digital audio mechanical license, which is a blanket license. We're simply administering the work around the management of the license, and the DSPs choose to operate under that based on their own business decisions. And again, you saw that some organizations have already sent us notices that we're not operating under the blanket like Bandcamp, because it's operationally better for us to continue to do the way we do it.
Right. That makes sense. A lot of people are asking about the sort of interaction between the, independent aggregators and the MLC. Like, I think needs to be some more clarity about, if you sign up, and I know you already touched on it, say with like CD Baby and CD Baby Pro, right? DistroKid, Bandcamp, all those aggregators that may or may not include publishing. How can we help self-administered or independent songwriters know what they've signed on to, so they know whether they need this or not?
Well, education. I mean, it's
Yeah.
endless. It's endless.
Yeah.
It's never-ending education. I mean, you know, I hear this all the time from people asking, you know, well, I haven't heard the MLC. Why haven't you guys, you know, why haven't I heard of you? Meanwhile, collectively, we've done probably 200 webinars over the last year, between, you know, myself and you know, our CEO and Serona and Richard and just everyone on the team, yeah, and the leadership team has participated, as well as a number of our board members and advisory committee members have participated in webinars and roundtables and so forth happening this month, and obviously all of the different organization groups who contributed to the MMA has been talking about this, you know, including yourself, and so it's, education is endless. There are a lot of creators, and they have to learn about the business in general. MLC is only one piece of the big puzzle, and it's going to be continued education. I mean, at the end of the day, people have to remember there's still songwriters who don't even know ASCAP and BMI exists, and they've been around for 106, you know, BMI, ASCAP has been around for 107 years.
Yeah.
So they have a 107-year head start on us, and still
Yeah.
I have students in my class who've never heard of ASCAP. So it's not a like end date of when all songwriters are going to hear about the MLC.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, this is amazing. I know we only have a few minutes left, so it's an hour. Can I ask you if there's any estimated time frame for the claiming portal to be introduced?
The claiming portal is under development. I don't have an estimate. I'm not, you know, sort of in that department. That's, you know, head up by Richard Thompson, is our CIO. But it's coming soon.
Okay. I mean, I think we'll definitely have to talk about how to help songwriters navigate that too. I mean, that's going to be a whole other bunch of webinars, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the unmatched, well, there's a couple of things. There's the unmatched, and then there's, you know, disputes as well, which is a whole another issue. We have a whole committee for the disputes. But the unmatched is going to, we just received the data just last month.
Right.
And there's, you know, 9 billion lines of data that has to be processed. And the matching has already begun, by the way. So even though, you know, we received the data, we've already began the matching. We've hired more people under matching. We actually have a manager of matching that is a new
matching
role.
Manager.
Yeah, matching manager. So
you know, I'm all about the alliteration.
Yeah, we should have the matching manager in Metadata Monday.
Exactly.
To talk about matching. So yeah, so the matching is happening. Again, if you're concerned about matching, the best thing you can do for yourself right now is register your works, because then it automatically will match.
Yeah.
Right. So what is happening? There's a difference between matching and claiming, right? So there's going to be a database of unmatched works that you can claim and then match, and then there will be matching occurring automatically with the registration of new works. So if you want to get ahead of the matching process, then you start registering your works now so that it will be matched. Otherwise, you're going to have to actually claim and then match by searching a database.
So if there's any one takeaway or message you would like people to go with, it's that. It's
the one takeaway is, you know, to definitely join the MLC if you're eligible to join the MLC, and then to start checking your data, your existing catalog, and then, you know, put us in your process for registering new works, and whatever that process may be. So that's it.
all right. Okay. Well, I know you need to get to the beach. There's a thank you. Thank you so much, Abby, Kevin, whichever one you are, if you're both, for for being our experts in the chat. I think this is something we're gonna have to like do, like make sure we do. And I think there's a lot of information from Day as well. Thank you so much, Day. I mean, this is great information for all of our Sona members and our friends of Sona members to absorb. There's a lot to absorb. There were some questions about the slides that you shared. if people needed to see them again. Would you be willing to share some of that? I know some of it is just is on the MLC website, but would you be willing to share some of those slides that we can use as a resource?
Sure, I'll send it to you and then you can give it to whoever needs
Awesome.
it.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We
This
have
is great.
another Yeah, thank you for doing it. I know that's go have fun in South Beach. We actually have our fifth, because there are 5 Mondays in March. So we have our 5th and final metadata event next week with Renee from Exactuals and our own Catherine Wood, and they're going to be doing this whole like metadata for royalty forensics situation. We're going to even deeper dive. So be sure to sign up for that. And thank you again for being here. This has been great. Really, really, really good. Lot of information. And thank you so much, Day.
Thank you.